Hey, what's up you guys, it's Connor, and today we're going to be continuing my reading wrap-ups slash recent reads with the 6th through the 10th things that I read in 2020. If you guys missed the first part, I will leave that up in the card symbol as well as down in the description, and you can check it out if you want to. Hi, Bunch. Mwah. If you guys missed it, I said in the first part that I was going to reduce the number of books that I talk about in each part just to keep each part a little bit shorter instead of 20-something minutes long. This will also allow me to talk about the books closer in proximity to when I actually finish them. Like right now, I'm a little bit behind because I was waiting to finish 10 books and then I got on a really big reading mood, so then I read 6 more, so I think I've read 16 books. But today we're just talking about 6 through 10. Also, if you guys are curious, I'm reading The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. So far I'm enjoying it. I'm like 150 pages in. So let's just get started. The 6th book that I read in 2020 is called The First. This is the 2nd book in the Endling series by Catherine Applegate. I actually did an individual book review for the first book, and I'll leave that up in the card symbol if you want to check it out. But this series follows a character named Bix. In this world, there are 6 different ruling species, and they're ruling because they're able to do magic. There are also other species that are not considered the top of the society because they're not able to do magic. Bix's species is able to tell when people are lying or not, and that is why people have actually been hunting down her species, and at the beginning of the book, her pack is killed off and she's the only survivor. After that, she thinks that she is the Endling and that there are no more Dairns in the world, and the book is about her trying to find more of her kind. In this book, it's a continuation of that one. She's still trying to find other Dairns. She's joined by her found family. There's Gambler, who is on the cover of the 2nd book. That is the giant Felivit, which is the cat. There is Tobble, who is a little Wabik, who is the character that has these huge ears. There is a character named Kara, who is a human. There's another human character, but I forgot his name. And it just follows them as they're traveling around trying to find other Dairns, as well as learning about how unsettled their area of the world is. There's a ruler who is a bit of a tyrant, who is ruling with a very firm fist and has caused a lot of problems between different groups of intelligent beings within his country, but also has caused problems between their country and other countries. So the problem of this world is a bit bigger than what they originally thought. I enjoyed this 2nd book. I enjoyed seeing Bix traveling around with all of these different people that are so dedicated to helping her find others of her kind, to help her find hope, basically. I enjoyed traveling to different areas of the world and learning a bit about how those areas are set up, as well as learning more about the conflict that is looming in this world. This is considered a middle grade epic fantasy series. Over the course of this series, it's going to grow in scale, and I do think that this book is starting to show people that growth. This book also has an illustration. I think it has 4 or 5 illustrations throughout it, so those were fun to see as well when I was reading the book. My one thing with this book is that it seems like Kara's story is starting to overtake Bix's story, and what really drew me to this series was Bix. Her trying to find other Dairns, trying to find out if she's the last of her kind or not. And I feel like this series is getting hijacked by the human character, and humans are the ones that have created a lot of the problems in this world, so I'm not too keen on following humans who have caused all these problems being the saviors of everyone else. They're the ones who have subjugated all of these different species and all of these different groups of people, and so to have the human as the savior, I'm not too keen on that. I would rather see the true underdogs be the ones that save the world. I love Gambler, I love Tobble, I love Bix, and I want them to be the ones that are, the powerhouses of saving the world. But it seems like Kara is going to be the chosen one with a magical sword that saves the day, and I don't want that. Not that I have anything against Kara, I just feel like that trope has been played out so many times and it's just nothing new. I think it would be a lot cooler to see these different creatures and these different intelligent beings with their own style of magics save the day. We'll see if that is what happens. So I ended up giving this book 4 stars because there were a lot of things that I enjoyed, but there were also some things that are starting to happen that I'm not loving because I already just told you about it. So I liked it. I'm a little wary of the future of the series. After that, the 7th book that I read is Clean Getaway by Nick Stone. I've never read anything by Nick Stone before, so I didn't really know what to expect in terms of writing style or anything like that. This is a middle grade novel that follows a character whose nickname is Scoob. I can't remember his actual name, but at the beginning of the book, he's gotten in trouble at school, and instead of wallowing in his punishment because his dad has grounded him and has like taken away this trip that they were supposed to take, he jumps on the opportunity when his grandmother stops in front of their house and is like, let's go on an adventure. So he joins his grandmother, and him and his grandmother are going across the US on this epic adventure, and they're stopping at all these different places that his grandmother has wanted to stop at. I loved this. I thought this book was so good. Scoob's grandmother is white, and his grandfather, who has since passed away, was black. And so throughout the course of the story, his grandmother is stopping at different locations that have historical significance to his family, but also at locations that are important historically in general in terms of racial relations between black people and white people within the United States, basically where a lot of racism has occurred historically. And I thought that those were woven into the story so well. I loved learning about Scoob's grandmother and his grandfather. I loved learning about the different decisions that were made. Sometimes the people that are in your lives, you think that they're one way, but they haven't always been that way. Even your heroes have made mistakes in the past, and I thought this book was so good. I really was hooked. I wanted to learn more about Scoob. I wanted to learn more about his grandmother. I wanted to know more about the situation and why they're taking this random trip. It's not a very long novel, but I think that it packed a lot in there, and I just loved it. I thought it was so good. I ended up giving this book 5 stars. I definitely recommend it. I think some things will make you angry, but I do think that those things are meant to make you angry and meant to make you just realize that, you know, people are people and people make mistakes and people do awful things, even people that you love. So yeah, 5 stars. Loved this. Definitely recommend it. I hope more people pick it up. It just came out recently, so check it out. The next thing that I read in 2020 is A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. This is the first romance book that I've ever read in my entire life. I never thought that I would be picking up a romance book because that's just not something that I generally enjoy. I have a really hard time finding books that have romances in them where I actually enjoy the romance, so I was very wary going into this. This was the February pick for the House Salt Book Club, and at the point of filming this, we have not filmed the live show. I don't know when I'm going to put this video up, but when that's up, I will leave a link to that down in the description as well as up in the card symbol, and you can check it out. This one follows a girl named Naledi. At the beginning of the book, she's living in New York. She is studying, I think she's a grad student. She is doing a lot of things on different diseases. She's studying different diseases and studying cures for them and everything like that. She ends up receiving an email that is from the assistant of a prince that's in Africa that's wanting to know all of this information. And I was laughing so much because I thought it was so funny. So the very beginning of this book definitely had me hooked because I wanted to learn more about the situation because of how like absurd that would sound in real life, like you getting an email from some random prince in a country you probably don't know anything about and is asking for your social security number and your birth certificate and like all this stuff. So I thought the beginning of this book was perfect, and it just follows Naledi as she's blowing off these people that are trying to contact her, and then eventually she finds out that those people are real. Story goes from there. I ended up enjoying this. Shockingly, I was shocked how much I enjoyed this. I listened to this as an audiobook, so I'm not sure how physically reading it would compare, but I was thoroughly entertained the entire time. I really enjoyed learning more about Naledi. I really enjoyed how strong she was. I really enjoyed how she still has a goal and she still wants to work towards that goal no matter what else is happening. Like, she's focused on being a successful, I forgot the term, that's her thing. And I really liked that she kind of sticks to that. The one who is trying to contact her so that he can marry her is Prince Thabiso. I enjoyed him as well. I thought that he played off of Naledi very well. I just really liked the execution of everything between Naledi and Thabiso. I thought that there were times when it could have gone down a certain path, and I'm glad that it didn't go down those. I really enjoyed the friendship between Naledi and Portia and what happens with that, and I really enjoyed Lakatsi, which is the assistant to Thabiso. It's not unpredictable, like you know what's gonna happen, and I don't think that any twists were surprising or anything like that, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. It almost gave me some The Princess Diaries and what's the name of that other movie? The Prince and Me, something like that. There were similar scenes that happen in those movies that happen in this as well, and I just thought it was so good. I think that the audiobook really helped my experience because it helps with pronunciation, at least because I didn't know how to pronounce some of the characters' names or places. I think that the audiobook helped immerse me in this story and helped me connect to the characters a little bit more because I felt like I was hearing them talk to each other. In terms of sex scenes, I'm not a huge fan of sex scenes in books, so I just kind of skimmed over those, but I thought this was great. I really, really enjoyed it. I could see myself continuing on with the Reluctant Royal series, which this is the first book of that series. I'm not a romance reader, so I don't know how this compares to the genre as a whole, but yeah. So weird, but I really liked that book. After that, I picked up The Edge of Worlds by Martha Wells. This is the fourth book in the Books of Raxura series, but this series is one where there's a trilogy and then there's 2 collections of short stories and then the fourth book takes place. I actually did an individual book review for this, and I'll leave that up in the card symbol if you want to check it out. But this series follows a character named Moon. At the beginning of the first book, he is alone. He doesn't really know anything about himself, really. He doesn't know what species he is, and he's trying to find others of his kind. There's a species in this world that people absolutely hate because they eat other people that he looks similar to. But at the beginning of the book, he ends up finding someone of his own kind, and then throughout the course of the series, he is learning more about his culture that he missed out on, and then also protecting the people that he loves. This book is continuing that story. It's still about Moon. It's still about this same court. I forgot to say that the society is based around courts, and they're all led by queens. There's the head queen, and then there's queens that are underneath them. Almost like bees or ants. The different Raxura have different jobs and everything like that. There's like the warriors, and then there's the workers and stuff like that. So it is kind of like ant-like. This book takes place a couple of years after the most recent story that had come out before this one. So the characters are a little bit different. They're a little bit more settled in where they are, but a situation occurs where they have to go off and investigate this ancient city. I enjoyed this. I had some worries that I wouldn't be able to jump right back into the story because it's been quite some time since I've read the most recent story that came out, but it does a good job of getting you caught back up and explaining who the characters are, what their powers are, and how they relate to one another. I will say that this book and the fifth book serve as 2 parts to the same story. So where in the previous books there was individual arcs for each one, this story doesn't end here, so I didn't really love that. And so in the end, I ended up giving this 3.5 stars just because it's so different, and I was expecting a more cathartic ending, which I didn't get. We'll see when I get my hands on the 5th book how I feel about this 4th one in hindsight, but currently 3.5. And the 10th book that I read in 2020 is Ghost Hunter by Michelle Paver. This is the last book in the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness series. This series is set in a Scandinavian type environment and takes influences from different native traditions around the globe, mainly things that are like survival things, like how to start a fire or, you know, how clothes are made, that kind of stuff. It follows a boy named Torak, and at the beginning of the first book, his father passes away and he has to figure out how to survive on his own because he has not had many interactions with any of the other clans that are around him. He's also able to communicate with a wolf pup because he has history with wolves. So this series follows Torak and his wolf as he is trying to save the world from this group of evil people that are trying to take it over. And over again, he has to fight this different group in different places and in different ways to try to save everyone. This book finished the series so well. I was a little worried on how it was all gonna wrap up, but I absolutely loved the ending. It was exactly what I was hoping for. I loved the emotional drama of everything that was going on. I really liked the action that was happening. I just really loved everything about it, and I can't really talk too much about the plot of this because it would spoil the whole thing. This is book 6. But suffice to say that I really loved this. I ended up giving it 5 stars. Definitely think that this series is one that was completely engaging and entertaining from the beginning to the end. Definitely recommend this one as well. So those are the next things that I read in 2020. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below if you've read any of these books. Are you interested in reading Clean Getaway or the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness series now, because those books are so good? Anything else you want me to know, leave it down below, and I will talk to you guys next time.